And we are now live.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm getting over a little cold here, but I'm gonna start by doing a roll call and then just a little bit of housekeeping stuff. So I'm gonna start by asking if Andrew is here.
Present.
Perfect. Is Councillor Smith here? Okay. Councillor Stoddard.
I am here.
Perfect. And then is Daryl here? Okay, it's Jerry here.
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. I knew it here. Is Renee here?
Present.
Perfect. Is Missy here?
Present.
1 second here. Is Keisha here? Is Tanya here? Okay, and then is Taylor here?
I am here.
Perfect. So that's all we have for today.
Sorry,
And
Chair. I believe Daryl is in the meeting if he can do a mic and video check.
oh yes, can you do a mic and video check, Daryl?
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. And then you can turn it off after the introduction. It just so we know that you're here formally. And then just a little bit of housekeeping. We ask that you don't use the chat for discussion, but you can use it like to say you want to raise your hand and stuff like that. And then you have to put up the hand button. I believe which is located when you go to more. Well, it's right here. If you're not on the app, you raise your hand to speak. And I think that's it. So we're gonna go into the land acknowledgement. Dorothy, if there's not anything else you want to mention.
No, I think we're good for now, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna do the land acknowledgement. The Halifax Regional Municipality is located on Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kma'ki people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in the territories and recognizes that we're all treaty people. Could you please introduce yourself? I guess we've kind of done that, but are we going to do that again, Dorothy? We did a roll call.
Oh, you can skip that part. That's for in-person
Okay.
meetings. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then 1.1, African Nova Scotian affirmation. Invite NCO staff to recite affirmation. So do members have any? And then 2, approval of
Sorry,
minutes.
Chair. We have to
Yeah.
wait for Ancio to do the African Nova Scotian affirmation before you go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
We humbly acknowledge and celebrate the profound contributions of people of African descent in shaping Nova Scotia's rich history and vibrant culture. From their earliest present to the present, African Nova Scotians have been integral founding members, leaving an enduring mark on our community for over 400 years. Their teachings, resilience, and unwavering strength inspire us, providing a historical stronghold that reminds us of the victories achieved amidst challenges. Their labor, culture, and heartache have laid the foundation upon which we proudly stand today. Drawing upon the wisdom of an African proverb, we recognize that our strength is rooted in the collective triumphs of our ancestors. We are guided by their enduring spirit as we face contemporary challenges and strive for a more inclusive, equitable, and united future. In this space, we commit to honoring the rich contributions of people of African descent, fostering a community that celebrates diversity, equality, and unity. Together, let us build upon the legacy of our ancestors, drawing strength from their experiences as we work toward a more just and compassionate society for all.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So number 2 is approval of minutes. Do members have any errors or omissions to the minutes of November 9th, 2023? And then can I please get a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes? Do we have a mover?
I'll move.
Okay, Renee, thank you, is the mover. And then can we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Stoddard. Thank you. All in favor say yay and all opposed say nay.
Yay.
Okay, perfect. Yay. I declare that the motion to approve the minutes of November 9th carries as presented. 3, approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions. Dorothy, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No additions or deletions have been received through the clerk's office.
Perfect. Can I have a mover and a seconder to approve the order of business? I need a mover and a seconder, please.
I'll move.
Can I
Thank you.
just interrupt? Sorry,
And then Renee will second.
sorry, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering if the article that we received September 12th, 23, would that be correspondence for the meeting?
What is that article that you speak of?
I could be incorrect, but I just thought I'd ask. It's dated Tuesday, September 12th.
Mhm.
It was an attachment as correspondence.
I believe I circulated that as general correspondence for the month of, I think it was November. It was just general correspondence for that month.
Okay, so it was nothing to actually for us to discuss or anything?
No,
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for confirmation.
no worries.
Okay, so all in favor say yay and all opposed say nay.
Yay.
I declare
Yay.
that the motion to approve the order of business carries as amended and presented. So number 4, business arising from out of the minutes. None. There is currently no business arising out of the minutes from November 9th. And then number 5, call for declaration of conflict of interest. Does any committee member want to declare conflict of interest as a result of the agenda item? Nobody? Okay. So we're going to move on to the next agenda item since no one has declared. Consideration of deferred business. There is no deferred business from November 9th meeting. Number 7, correspondence, petition, and delegations. Dorothy, has there been any correspondence received by the clerk's office?
No correspondence has been received by the clerk's office.
Okay. 7.2 petitions. Has there been any petitions received by the clerk's office?
No petitions have been received by the clerk's office, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you. 7.3 presentations. Dorothy, has there been any presentations received by the clerk's office?
No presentations have been received by the clerk's office.
Perfect. Thank you. Then we're down to 8 information items brought forward. There are no information items brought forward to this meeting. 9 reports and discussions. And then 9.1.1 NCO monthly update. Can I invite NCO staff to provide a monthly update?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
We have a quick update this month. We are actively planning African Heritage Month events for the municipality. So during February, we're going to have ongoing educational opportunities for HRM employees, such as Lunch and Learns, an ABR speaker series, an NCO open house, which actually helps to create awareness for our office and the support that we can provide to business units. We're also hosting an African Heritage Month opening celebrations, and that'll take place on the evening of January 25th at the Paul O'Regan Hall at the Central Library, alongside the Halifax Public Library staff and the African History Month Association. It's their 40th actual anniversary as well. The event will also be live streamed on the Black Cultural Center site. There'll be a flag raising that'll take place on January 29th at Grand Parade Square, where we will raise the Pan-African flag for the month. And the flag will also fly on the ferries, and City Hall will be lit up in the Pan-African colors as well. Mayor Savage is to read the proclamation at the flag raising.
Okay.
Sorry?
No, keep going.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
disagreeing. Sorry.
That's okay. Since we met last as well, ANSIO provided a couple of employment circles. Employment circles refer to a group or a network of individuals who come together with the shared goal of supporting and facilitating employment opportunities. And it's an approach that involves connecting job seekers with potential employers and industry professionals to enhance their employment prospects. So employment circles often provide a supportive environment for networking, skill development, and guidance in navigating the job market. And we
Your mic went off.
have a, can you hear me now?
Well, there you are.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so in the employment circle, we had Halifax Transit looking for drivers. We had planning and development looking for assistant building official positions. That's going to be ongoing over the next 5 years or so. As well as we were chatting about the newly posted planning positions for the African Nova Scotian Community Action Planning Team. And Dexter's Construction was also on site as part of our social benefits team for the Cogswell project. Under anti-Black racism, we have the anti-Black racism strategy and action plan that is in draft stages, and the ABR corporate policy, which is being developed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So now we're going to move on to 9.2 committee member updates. So
So just before that,
oh,
I'm going to ask a question
yes.
about the update. Just for the employment circles, what were the numbers like at the events?
I'd say we had between 15 and 20 people at the events.
Okay.
Yes, could I ask a question about the employment circle? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
no problem. It's the Cogswell Street, what's that all about? The Cogswell Street, is Dexter Construction, Cogswell Street?
Yes, Dexter's Construction was on site. We have what's called a social benefits committee for the Cogswell project, and they have ongoing employment needs as well, not just due to the project, but aside from that, anywhere from in the office jobs to out in the field jobs that they're constantly looking for people to work and fill those positions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just one other thing with the flag raising, what was the date for that? I just missed it there.
That's okay. The flag raising is January 29th at 10 a.m. at Grand Parade Square.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Is that all the questions?
Yeah.
So just a little bit of committee member updates for you guys. I just want to remind you guys to send topics of interest or discussion for future agenda items to Dorothy. I believe that's who we're sending it to.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well, there was a motion that was passed at the last meeting for the African Nova Scotian representation in the Halifax Regional Police. It was also passed at Executive Standing Committee late last year. We have to wait for feedback from Executive Standing Committee on the report request. And then the other thing that we wanted to also talk about is if you guys would be open to having future meetings virtually, and if you guys have the technology suitable for it. I mean, this one is virtual, so I'm going to assume or guess that most of us know how to hop on here. Yeah, and then attending virtual meetings via the dial-in Zoom option is not permitted as Administrative Order 1 requires members to be seen and heard. And then I also want to talk about our work plan, what we were thinking and how we, oh, I'm sorry. Daryl, you can go, not Daryl. Jerry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm a little confused because I didn't have the minutes and I was just going by the agenda, and I know that I wanted to discuss the Afro situation, and I had a couple of things I wanted to say on it, and I had a couple of motions. And could I put that in added items number 10? Is that possible? I could get to speak then?
I believe so. Can Dorothy confirm? Or would it have to be another meeting?
I know, sorry, I had, the last meeting I had said for a future meeting, I made a motion at the last meeting that, I would be speaking, I would be bringing something forward on the Africa case, which is the information, and I did some research on it. And I have also a few motions about it that I wanted the HRM to enact. Or I wanted the committee to hear about it first.
Yeah.
But I didn't see on the agenda where that would go in, so I'm just seeing, it looks like we're running out of meeting space, so.
I feel like it's something that we might have to add to next meeting.
I'm baked, yeah. If we don't do it in added items, then there's nothing, no place else to put it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm all right to go in next meeting. I don't.
But
I don't
let me just double check with Dorothy.
Yeah, okay.
If members agree to add it to as an added item today, that's possible, or if you would like to discuss it at a future meeting, it's up to the members.
Okay. So how do we poll? I mean, I feel like Zoom has a poll, anonymous poll, only the.
Probably just raise your hand, I guess. The raise hand feature should work.
Okay. So first, do we need to know what we're adding? So I would like to know what we're adding to the agenda item, then we can poll it, correct?
We're gonna have we need a mover and a seconder to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
And probably the title of what we're adding.
Yes, but before we do, don't we need to know what we're adding first? Like the context of what we're adding.
Yes, I can, if it's all right, I can tell you what it is that
Yes.
I'm interested in doing. Okay, I'll just read it, or is there two of them? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, here's the problem. I have a background, about a 5-minute kind of presentation, a background on the history of Africa for this committee, so we can see. And then I have motions that I feel the city, after the presentation, that the city we could ask the city to do if it's the wishes of the committee. And I wanted us to ask the committee to direct staff to do research, get information on Africa by working with HRM archivists, Nova Scotia Archives, government records, blah, blah, blah. That's a long one. Then the other one is I move that the affordable housing program of HRM be revised to encourage residents of Africa to rebuild their homes in their community, like any other Canadian citizen. The other one is I move that the city manager be asked to inform HRM Council that discussions of a positive solution for Africa needs to be a normal council agenda with the goal of community consultation with all residents, a little more. And then I move that the committee improve its community acknowledgements and include all communities of Africans living in the HRM, for example, Guysborough Road, Victoria Road, Copperwood Road, Maroon Hill, Lucasville, Hammers Plains, Africville, Beachville, among other stuff. I'm sorry. We have a council from Beachville, my mistake, sorry. At a future meeting, I moved, and this other one, it hasn't been discussed. At a future meeting, I will move that the committee contact HRM to investigate that the medical examiner should be asked to investigate the need for an inquest related to the death of Mrs. Rosella Williams. This happened in the 60s in the Black community with open arms, but nothing ever happened. So I want HRM to look at that, but that's for a future meeting, not this one. And so
okay,
that's a move
so
forward.
I'm gonna now ask for a mover and a seconder to have those added to our meeting minutes.
It's adding it to the agenda, Chair.
Sorry, yeah, to the agenda. So can I get a mover?
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
could we divide the two matters? And maybe have one this meeting and one another? Would that be okay, Jerry?
Yeah, oh, yes. I'm agreeable to anything you decide tonight. I really am. I can
Okay.
go next week, because my mistake for not having the minutes.
Okay, that works. So,
Madam
it's-
Chair,
yes,
I'm wondering if the motion could be written and added to the chat so that people can see what it is they're speaking on? Like, is there
Okay.
any way, Jerry, you can cut and paste and put that in the chat?
Yeah, I would need help to do that, to tell the truth.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
not-
I think that the motion that we're looking at is to discuss those things that he just said. That's
Yeah.
all the motion is. All the
Okay.
rest of it is going to be the conversation, what we're going
Okay.
over, and then he's going to tell us about the details of it after. But we're just looking at, do we want to discuss that tonight?
okay, so
I
it's not
think is
necessarily you're
how
making
I
a
understood it.
motion to, okay. Just wanted to be clear.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, perfect. So now,
so-
I want to just go ahead and get a mover and a seconder for the motion to add it to the agenda items.
Madam Chair, before we do that, I have a quick question. I'm just wondering, it doesn't matter which way we do it, but I'm wondering about time frame. Because I know we have a full agenda tonight, I think, and I know Jerry already mentioned that he's got a 5 or 10 minute presentation. So I'm wondering, what's the time frame like for this meeting and next meeting? Because I think Counselor had a good suggestion too, to break it up, but I'm
Yeah,
wondering.
I think that's what we're gonna do. Then we're
Yeah.
gonna do one part today and then one part the next. So then it's easier to digest as well.
Right, okay,
I think that makes sense.
yeah.
Everyone
sure.
agree? Okay.
Mhm.
So then can I go ahead and have a mover and a seconder? And then we can talk about one part of your statement, Jerry.
Okay.
Okay. Can I have a
Okay.
seconder? I'm not
Who's the mover?
I
I'm not
so
seeing that
moved.
either. I thought it was Jerry for a second.
Yeah, I moved.
Okay, Daryl is a mover, or
Oh,
okay,
Oh,
Renee.
Daryl and Renee. Good.
Perfect. So, then do we discuss it now, or do I just go on until I'm done this and we can go back and discuss it?
No,
Because we just added something.
we just moved it. So you want to do it after you finished with 9.2.1.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
okay.
So, all right. So then it would be right now. 9. Yeah. Okay, so we were talking about the work plan.
Yes.
And then next meeting on the agenda, we'll have discussions around the Halifax Transit, which is good.
Mhm.
And then do we have anything about drafting like a work plan? Do we have any ideas how we want to move this group? Or this committee per se?
So I think that's to highlight from the conversation that we had with Ian that the drafting of the work plan is going to be taking place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
but-
just so we're good.
yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to get feedback from the committee as that's being developed so that we're moving in the direction that the committee wants to go.
Yes.
So that'll be sort of the first steps is getting the draft plan and then bring it to the committee for review.
Yes. And then I was wondering, doesn't the committee have to be also involved in drafting that plan since it's for the committee? I believe. So then wouldn't their input be needed to even draft that plan?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I didn't know if you saw that my hand was up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not.
So everybody who was appointed to the committee Their appointment was aligned to either a community or something. So
Yes.
part of the expectation is that whatever we're discussing or we're pulling together, that committee members will help to gather that feedback from community and bring
Yes.
that to the table when they come. Or they're bringing their own personal expertise as lived experience in a community or those types of things. So
Exactly.
in developing your work plan, this is where we gathered the expertise around the table and expected that people who would join us in creating this committee would be able to bring forward sort of the work. And then because this is the first year and you're just starting off, it might be a simple work plan where
Okay.
it's really around educating yourself around the municipal things. And then in the future, like next year or whatever,
Yeah.
once you have a feel for, okay, this is the city, this isn't the city, this is something we can tackle, this isn't, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
That's when you might be thinking about, okay, how are we ensuring we're taking this to community? So I'm just not too sure you'll have a whole lot of time to develop a work
Yeah.
plan and figure out how you're going to get community input. And you also
Yeah.
might want to just, because it's the first year, take
Yeah.
this as a learning year.
Fair enough. Renee?
Remember that we had a conversation in one of our first meetings about the themes or aspects of the road to economic prosperity. I'm wondering if we had those things that we wanted to work on written down anywhere.
Huh. I can definitely look back on my notes and also maybe ask Dorothy to see if she has notes as well.
Yes, Chair. We do have an ongoing list of agenda
Yeah.
items from each meeting that we have, and we discuss at agenda review. I've been taking notes of all of those.
Okay. So yes, it's documented.
Wonderful. Are we able to just reiterate those so that maybe we have an idea of what we'd like to focus on for our planning for 2024?
Okay. Do you have Dorothy, do you have it accessible right now by chance? Because I don't.
I could probably maybe send it around to the committee after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Renee?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No.
Yes, Dorothy.
Okay. So, okay, we're done with that. And then we've added an item. Okay. So then 10 is addition of items, and we added some items. So would we? Yeah.
Madam Chair, lady, could I interrupt you? I have a
Yes.
question about the work plan. How are the committee members going to participate? I seem to be a little lost on that. So there's a work plan for our committee, and the question is whether or not we would be involved in it. Am I correct? Is that the question?
So I don't believe there's anything currently solid, but we're kind of like getting ideas, and we're trying to decide whether this year we're gonna just use it as a learning year and just focus on like learning about the municipal, learn about what we can impact and what we can't. And then moving forward, then coming up with like the issues that we want to tackle, which gives us basically step by step, instead of just having multiple ideas and being overwhelmed. You can have like a few things on the go and just be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna do it.
Now, do we discuss this at a meeting, like what we think should be in the work plan, or how does that come up? For instance, if I'm saying, if I had an idea of what I think we should be working on, and no one agrees with it, then that shouldn't be in the work plan. So what I mean is, when is that discussion planned to be held? Where the committee members
I'm not too sure when that is going to be had, but Dorothy, do you have anything to add to it?
Sure. If the committee would like it to be added to as an agenda item to use a meeting to discuss their ideas around the work planning, that could also work as well.
Okay.
Madam Chair, is it all right if could I make a motion saying that right now, or is that out of order?
I
I'm not sure.
believe. Is it doable?
I'm
not too sure if the motion to add it to a future agenda or.
Yes, I move that the work plan be added to a future agenda in the near future for our committee.
Okay, and then can I get a seconder? Perfect. And anyone in favor, say yay, and anyone that doesn't want it, nay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we have a hand raised from from
I'm
Krista from
sorry.
the clerk's office.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry there.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to briefly just kind of step in and have just a discussion around your work plan, but also add to discussions that you've had with Ian McLean. My title has actually recently changed, so now it's Legislative Assistant Team Lead. So I'm just here, I'm supporting Dorothy this evening. But when it comes to your work plan, you can use this meeting right now to have the discussions of ideas that you have for your work plan. That's great that you've added it for future discussion and to allow people to take away and come up with the ideas that they'd like as well. But there's nothing stopping you from using this time right now to sort of allow everybody to kind of go around and sort of express the types of work that they'd like to explore this particular year, whether you're using it as a learning year and you'd like to get presentations on certain subjects. And then as you build that work plan, you'll have time to discuss it at the next meeting. Dorothy will capture sort of all the ideas, and then you can narrow it down into where you'd like to focus your time and attention for this year. That's not saying that you can't take additional, items that have already been discussed and put that forward to a future work plan. But it allows you to sort of narrow what area of focus you'd like to have for this year.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you for your input. Okay, anybody else want to add anything before I continue?
Yes, if I may.
Yes.
I'm kind of a one-dimensional person. I'm thinking about the land of the Black communities in the HRM that have been reduced without compensation. So I haven't got beyond that. So as far as a work plan, anything that I would talk about will be related to that. So
that's fair.
Yeah, okay.
I think you're really going to enjoy that student that I sent your way. He's very passionate about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That's good. I'll just give a primer and I'll have more information later, but one of the things I would look at is understanding on transit and how some of the decisions are made within transit and how they affect our communities, how there is a lack of service within our communities. So those would be some of the things that I would want to be looking at. In terms of, so that would be sort of actionable, but also information gathering in terms of how they actually make these decisions. Also looking at the what was that thing called that Lindell had up there? He had in his, I have to look at his presentation again, but there's a couple of different pieces in that presentation he did that I'd like to get presentations from from staff on
Okay.
those, but I'll get the list together for you.
Okay, that sounds great. I believe, oh, Tracy, hello there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is great. Brainstorming all of the things that you want. So you're going to get that list. And then we'll put it together in a nice document so that it can come back to a meeting and people can say this is priority 1, 2, 3, 4, and those types of things. The other thing is that when from your previous meetings, you asked us to, think about some of those presentations. So I know that the ANSIO team has been working so that at a future meeting, we're hoping to bring transit to come and speak to you. And we're hoping to have the folks from the Road to Economic Prosperity come and speak. So those are things that we are setting up, but that won't change, in a sense, your work plan or what it is that you want to do. But you did ask us to follow up on some things at a previous meeting. So we do want you to know that, and I'm speaking on behalf of Tamar and Tamar's team who've done the work. We do know we have transit book for February and Road to Prosperity book for March. So those are 2 speakers that will be on future agendas, along with, pardon me, other things that you may want to talk about.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I'm just going to scan for hands. Okay, I don't see any more hands up.
Wow.
So now I believe, Jerry, you can talk about our added item.
Okay. Bear with me, please.
Choose one of them.
Give me a chance. Give me a chance. Okay, it's quarter to 7, as I promised. It won't be more than 10 minutes. Now, you have to have sympathy for me. Be nice to me because I did a lot of research. Okay, I'm going to read.
Perfect.
I would like to move that justice for the residents of Africa be an HRM priority, that the government of the city make that a priority. Now, however, I would like to spend 10 minutes to update you, the committee, on the real history of Africville and the way that HRM destroyed our family's pride, land possession, land, self-determination, community, and religious rights. The HRM apology is considered an admission of responsibility. I went through the apology. My, everybody should read it. Each resident has a right to vote.
Hi, excuse me. Sorry, Jerry. Can you send me a copy of the apology?
The only problem is I wrote all over. I don't know if you can see it. It's all messed up. I wrote all
Okay, but
over.
I can Google it, right?
Okay, yeah, it's right there. Yeah. And the mayor mentioned that. I didn't want to divert, but the thing about the mayor, he read all those things and the people there didn't pay attention because he was crying. And so they just said, oh, the mayor's crying. Oh, what a wonderful, that's all we thought. I just read it a couple of days ago and so I'm just as bad as everybody else. Each resident has a right to go through the process that HRM set up for land acquisition and building a home. I'm talking about Africville. We as a country have been lied to about the people of African descent living in the Preston Township. First of all, Africville was much larger than we have been told, starting with Citadel Hill, which was the home and the compound of the Maroons who established this area. They lived in Citadel Hill. Okay, their families and other Blacks lived in places near Halifax called Negro Point, Maroon Hill, Citadel Hill, Campbell Road, and Preston. They call that Africville. That was Africville. Most of this land was called Africville, and the city took at least half of the land from the residents twice, in 1868, again in 1948, and they took it completely from us in 1962. The HRM resolution by the councilors clearly states this. It was passed unanimously by the White Male Council at the time. It was shown by the Nova Scotia Archives that Campbell Road was shown to be a part of Africville in 1860. So Africville is not that little piece of land that we look at today. It was huge, part of Bedford. It was named in 1838 by Lieutenant Governor Colin Campbell. In 1963, Halifax got a loan to pay $60,000 to purchase all the lands and what was left of Africville, while at the same time, the city got another loan to pay $300,000 to build Uniac Square. More money was paid to destroy the community and relocate the residents than it would have cost to help the people and provide services to the community. Now, the reason I'm on this, because I was born then. I was like 8 years old. This led to the residents suing the city in 2004, but it was put on hold while settlement talks were conducted. So the people of Africville didn't agree to be relocated, and they sued the city, but they were told, okay, just wait for a minute, we'll talk to you. Further, in March 1860, Black families living on the Campbell Road petitioned the province to build a school in their community. The location of this community was Africville and the surrounding lands, to what we know today as Bedford. And the people Brown, Dixon, Grant, and Carberry are the names of some of these petitioners for getting a license to build their own school in their community for their children's education. So they were a Black community operating. The school was operating March 1st, 1883. Land was stolen from Black residents by the government, and we complained about it then. Here is a quote from Mr. William Brown, who complained that his land was taken without compensation, his words, and he listed the land as being in Africville. This was in 1860, March 31st. In 1963, the city answered the residents who complained about being offered $500 for the loss of their house. So they took the house from them and offered them $500. The proposal, this is what the city said when people complained. The proposal to pay $500 to persons with an apparent ownership, but no legal claim of any sort, would be a gratuitous gesture on the part of the city. The city could expropriate the lands where title is in doubt and wait for the owners to prove that compensation was due to them. He was saying, $500, we're not even giving you that if you complain. The persons who have suggested, who we have suggested should receive $500 would not. In this case, they could not justify any claim for any compensation. This was a city development officer, R.B. Grant. That's why I'm a little suspicious when we have city officials and officers sitting here with us. Are they really helping us? Negro Point was adopted in January 1956 as part of the Bedford Basin by the Canadian government. And also in 1960, near Africville settlement. Seeking answer to this long-standing issue are not that difficult if you look at the facts. Return people to their homes one at a time. We can use the humanitarian attitude shown by the HRM Council today towards the people who have lost their homes and are living on city grounds. So they have the same attitude towards the Black people in Africa. The direction taught in the Bible when people were taken, and excuse me if you're not a Christian, people were taken from their lands, were repatriated back to their original lands. This was found in Ezra chapter 2, verse 1 to 60. The children and descendants will be supported as they rightfully take their family's property back and move back to their community. City staff interested in defeating anti-Black racism instead of teaching white employees how to treat Black people, instead can assist our people by conducting searches to establish the proper residence of Africville and their family today. So it's not in our history. We're actually living right today. The people of Africville are still alive. It's not history. The church will be reestablished and converted from a pretend church and become a true church set up for the worship of God, based upon the African Nova Scotia religious tradition practiced today in each of our communities. Funding for this plan that I'm babbling about here includes all levels of government, including the UN and World Court. Our federal government can utilize the $20 billion they have designated for financing housing construction, $15 billion for apartment construction, and $1 billion for affordable new homes. Also, the Canadian Mortgage Charter, the HRM has a Canadian Mortgage Charter to protect mortgage holders. All banks, starting with TD, can accelerate mortgage approvals and cut redlining that they do to our folks. They've been doing it since they've been banks. HRM to cut red tape to allow quick construction of new homes for the residents built by Black people. We have about 1,000 companies in our communities and individuals who can build homes. So why don't we build them for our people? And also we can go, the province can provide funding as well. Foundations can be set up to help communities, while businesses, starting with CN Rail, who profits by putting that line through our community, will be expected to contribute. Black Nova Scotians also need to apologize to our Africville family for what we allowed to happen to them. Start with the AUBA, NAACP, whatever they call it, BUF, etc., where I used to work, also places of worship. we need to apologize. We sat quietly while this happened to us, and we're still quiet. Our silence since this happened has been deafening and damaging to our right to call ourselves an African family. Real Africans don't allow this. Black people, when you are prosperous, you are expected to give to those who aren't. Our silence makes us culpable. The landowners in Africa have some responsibility as well. We as the community have a responsibility as well. Put people like me out of a job. As long as there's white supremacy, Black activists build a career in fighting racism. Most make people like that, including me, find a regular job. So what I'm trying to say here is now, thank you for listening. Now, the other thing is all these motions that I have. Now, if, with your permission, I can read some of them. It's about 5. Okay, I move.
Just give me a second before you do move that.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I've got one. Can you remind us where Campbell Road is? So you
Okay,
mentioned a couple times, so where is that?
Well, Campbell Road is on the way to Bedford. When we drive to Bedford in a car, our people used to have horse and wagon, and they drove around to Bedford. There was no ferries or nothing. So the road, they just paved the road and made it easier to go that way. So Campbell Road is the road that goes to Bedford. That's Campbell Road. And all the trees around, everything, the whole thing, basically Bedford, actually. But the thing is, don't go by what I'm saying. It's a good question. Thank you for the question. Good question. I believe what I find when I'm in the community talking about this, people don't like to do the research and they don't want to harm the relationships that we have with each other. The fact of the matter is, we are damned, in my opinion. Sorry for the nastiness of that word, but we are. If we don't fix this, we will not prosper if we allow our brothers and sisters to have their homes bulldozed, their church tore down, and we say we're their brothers. As a matter of fact, my grandmother's from Africa. So I have a responsibility. It's not, I don't want to do, like, but anyway, you just asked
I understand.
Sorry.
I understand, Jerry.
I can go on for
So I
days.
just
Yeah, I
want to
know.
remind everybody that the ADAC can only get staff reports through the executive standing committee, obviously. And then I do also wonder, because you have so much on the go on the plate, Jerry, if you can maybe send your motions to the clerk's office.
Can
Would
I
that be a
respond?
better?
I'll respond to that with respect. I've sent, since I got on the committee, I've been sending reams of documents, but they never see the light of day. So I don't know what that means. I had, when we were talking about the committee setting up a work plan, I had 22 items on the plan that I thought we should deal with.
I remember,
that never seen the light of day. I also passed motions on things. Now, I'm not trying to, ruin the meeting, but what I mean is kind of like, yes, I can send it, but it gets buried. Well, I don't know why that is. Who's burying me? Who's doing that?
So just for clarity, that document that you sent with all those items on it, so that was the basis for the document that Dorothy has now that she's going to send out to everybody. So that document that she just mentioned that has some of the items that we're going to be looking at and adding to it, that's the basis of that document. So that's going to be coming soon. So just be aware that we've seen that, and it's going to be presented to the rest of the committee.
I appreciate that, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. I appreciate that, but the problem is, as I continue to do this, I become an idiot in the committee. Everybody on the committee should do that. They should have their own, like for instance, Mr. Johnson. I would like to get to what he's talking about. That's a big issue. But I'm running my, I'm trying to get in. So I wouldn't mind passing this down, just leave it alone, what I'm saying, and give me this opportunity at the next meeting to not go through all that, but make the motions or something.
Exactly.
Let's talk about
what
she's
saying is that you've got your motions, but when you say it here, what she's saying is send it to Dorothy so that she's got it and it's written down so that she has it. That's what she was just saying there.
Okay, I can do that.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I mean, nobody's trying to blast down notes while you're talking here, right? If you've got it written down, send it to her so then she got it, and there
Because you
it is.
talk real fast too. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, you do. I
I
talk
thought I had a-
fast,
And
so I
I
get
thought I
it.
had a
but-
beautiful slow voice. I guess not.
and just for
Sometimes-
clarity again,
Yeah.
so on the piece that we mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
so the motion was passed about the motion that we had about the HRP, the policing, all that.
Yes.
So that motion went through, and so now we're waiting on the report to come from that. So that is in progress. We don't got it yet, but it is coming. But it's not.
With respect, I would like to talk to Mr. Johnson to find out what his opinion is of how things are going. Like when he first brought it up, I know you're there. I know you're talking about why you're there, but you brought up a lot of very important, deep things about what you saw, and I want to see like how is it going. Like it's been on the agenda every meeting with it, but I don't see a whole lot of maybe it's just me, but I would like to hear from Mr. Johnson to see. But as I talk, he can't talk. So I would like to stop and let that agenda item come forward, and
I
I'll
think that
listen.
might, with all due respect, I think that might be a good idea. So we can get to talk.
I can live
I
with
know
that.
I have to be respectful as
good.
well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, Daryl.
I'm going on mute.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, thanks, Jerry. And thanks, Madam Chair and Co-Chair. So, Jerry, to answer your question, I think even Tracy alluded to this in our last meeting that you know how government works. Things move slow, and in most cases. And I know this issue, as Co-Chair already mentioned, that it has moved. It's been passed, and I know there's something going to be coming back very shortly. So hopefully maybe the next meeting I'll have more. I don't have a whole lot right now because it's in progress. So there's been no updates to me as of yet as to where we are with that. So hopefully, like I said, maybe the next meeting or two, we should have maybe some information of where we are with the questions that I have put forward.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Johnson? You had mentioned that there was a lot of recruits coming and then they stopped. Is that still the case? There are no African Nova Scotian African recruits, no recruits of color at the police department?
Yeah, so in my initial question, I had put it out there that since 1991, when we had our first all black recruiting class.
Yeah.
My question was, how come we haven't had that continue?
Yeah.
Like because there's been a need for it forever, like prior to 1991. And then we do it one time and then it sort of kind of just fell off the map. So my own personal opinion was basically, why didn't we keep doing that so that we can increase those numbers to help decrease the negativity and the community clash with racism and with our police. So that's the reason why I asked that question. I was hoping that maybe we do a class in 91 and maybe another one 5 years later, or maybe 10 years later, and to continue that until we had sustained nutrition, or sorry, not nutrition, but
or I'm gonna just say something, or just done it every year since it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I do understand where you're coming from, because I do know a lot of institutions are actually trying their best right now, like educational institutions are trying to recruit Black students, and they're trying to basically give them an avenue to be present and be visible and tell their story, and not it just be about academics. So that can also extend to the police department. So I definitely do understand that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I'm just going to hop back to Jerry and just say, I think you brought up so much today. I think we need to give people time to kind of digest before we make a motion. Does that make sense? Because I need time to digest, to be honest with you, to kind of like, and I kind of want to also see it like in writing, because I'm more of a visual person.
I'll send it to Dorothy.
To kind of understand. Oh, Renee just give me a second, Renee. Just to kind of like understand what you're really getting at deeply, not just at the surface level, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And then Renee, you have your hands.
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. I
No
know
problem.
that in one of our previous presentations, we had a very short discussion about the Land Titles Initiative, and I could just be making it up, but I think that it would be very beneficial to have them come speak to us as well.
Yeah.
Can you just run through the process of this? Also, I've had their presentation through the law school because they offered to us in our African Nova Scotian legal practice as well as critical race theory. So I just think it would be really great for maybe Jerry, for you to hear it as well.
Okay.
Just to hear about how and what is being done in the community already, and actually what, or in addition, what hinders what you want to see done, and maybe how we can creatively think of something else together.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been in a couple of their presentations as well, and it really is informative.
Hmm.
Tracy, you had a hand up.
I'm really bad at checking hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to the member, Daryl. My understanding is when a motion leaves us, this committee, it goes to executive standing committee. So I've asked the clerk's office to double check to make sure the motion has moved from the one that was made here, and that it's gone to executive standing committee. So when it gets to executive standing committee, then it gets actioned. So we make a motion. So the motion usually reads, could read something like, I request the CAO to get a staff report on, the lack of all Black cadet classes. I can't remember the motion, my apologies. And the reasoning why it's not been continued, et cetera, et cetera. So then that goes up to executive standing committee. And then there's a process from there. Then it's doled out to staff to kind of handle it. Krista, did you have more to add to that? I didn't want you to think your motion just disappeared. And often we don't go directly back to the individual who's made the motion unless we need some clarification on the information that they're looking for or things like that. So I think that might help a bit. So it's not disappeared into thin air.
Oh yeah, no, I know that, and it was member Taylor that was asking the question about where it was at, so I was doing my due diligence to answer his question. But I understand it's moving. So,
and that's the advantage of thinking out your motions here that get moved up. So when you want something actioned, or you want something, because none of our committees can direct staff. The only person who can direct staff is the CAO. So it's kind of a roundabout way. And the only person who can direct the CAO is the mayor or council. So it's kind of a funny little way that things work. Krista, did you have a piece to add there?
Yep. So Dorothy and I were just connecting, and she threw the ball in my court. So the November 27th Executive Standing Committee, the motion on the African Nova Scotian representation in the Halifax Regional Police, which was a 4-part motion. That did go to executive. It was passed. So now it is it's been assigned to staff to prepare that report. And Dorothy and I were discussing previous to this meeting that we were going to connect with the report writer and try and get a timeline and share that information with members on sort of when that would be coming back.
Perfect. Well, I'm just going to, I guess what we will say is that we're a little bit off topic, but I believe that Jerry's motion should be sent to the clerk's office, and then we will at our next, will be added to the next agenda.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
that
do
works.
that.
And then, does that sound good to you?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yes, yes.
And
Naturally.
then, 11, date of the next meeting is February 8th, 2024. Okay. And then 12 is adjournment. Can I get a mover to adjourn this meeting? Requires a mover only.
Just for clarity on the sorry, I was writing there.
Yeah.
For the next meeting,
Mhm.
is that in person or online? Can we discuss that now?
Yeah, sure. Do we do a yeah or nay, or who is interested in having it virtually? How about that? Hands raised.
Let me ask this first.
Okay.
Dorothy, have you already booked the room for the meeting?
It's up to the committee what they would like, either to have it virtually or in person.
So it's not the room's not booked yet, basically.
Pretty much. It's booked, but we can always do it
Yeah.
virtual. It's
Exactly.
booked, but we can always do it virtual. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So then,
I'll just say I prefer virtual, as long as I know it's coming ahead of time.
yeah.
So that I can get home in time to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Me too. I do prefer virtual, but I think we should have like maybe a hand raised for people who prefer virtual. You can raise your hand with the raise hand now. Let me scan. Okay. There's a few people here. Okay. It seems like it's almost a split. It doesn't seem to be. Okay. Jerry, I just want to confirm you prefer in person?
Yes,
That's
and
okay.
I
Yeah.
also wanted to say something after you're done, if that's allowable.
Yes. And Daryl, the same with you?
Yes, I prefer in person.
In
Yeah,
person. Okay.
get a chance to sit at that fancy table and feel like HRM counselor.
It does feel nice. That makes sense.
That part's nice.
So
I don't
Yeah.
mind either. I'm just saying, as long as if we're doing it virtual, I gotta know ahead of time.
Yeah.
yeah.
But in person,
I
Well,
think
and
it's
when
a
we
split.
have,
Maybe what oh
Uh,
maybe what we can do is, I think before I get to you, Renee, I think we should have a poll go out to everybody, not just people that are here, and see what they prefer. And that might give us a better idea. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chair, I just wanted to clarify, is this just for next meeting or all the meetings going forward?
I think for next meeting, I think we should do one meeting at a time because people's life circumstances can change.
Yeah.
Very quickly. So I think maybe doing one meeting at a time might be good.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. At least 2 meetings at a time or whatever, but not all of them, just in case.
it's
Right?
fine, and it seemed to work before, so
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Okay, perfect. And then Renee, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, I was just going to say, I think it would be beneficial if we did planning in person.
Yeah.
But I am okay with anything else virtual. Thank you.
Actually, that's a very good point that you bring up. It is good to be in person when you're planning something like that, especially if it's a work plan. That's something to consider.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any other comments or questions?
yes, I do. If I
Yes.
could, yes, me again. Okay. The thing is that I need clarification on something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm to send what I was talking about here to Dorothy. Okay, but what I was saying earlier is that since I've been on the committee, I've been sending things And the last meeting that I was at down in Albany, I made a motion about Africville, and it was to come to this meeting. It was a motion that was seconded by someone, and it said that at a future meeting, I would be bringing it forward. And when I was working on this, that's what I thought I was doing. So I'm mistaken somewhere. And could someone clarify how does it work so that I can, fit in here and do the right things?
Hi, Jerry, if I can just jump in.
Yeah.
I believe at the last meeting, it was discussed that all the stuff that you were sending was going to agenda review. So when we get to agenda review, the chair and the vice chair, we discuss what's coming to the next agenda. And I guess Chioma and Andrew can jump in right here that they were planning on bringing specific stuff at specific meetings, and the stuff that you were sending was on their radar.
Well,
Yes.
in all due respect, it was a motion that was made for a future meeting and was passed that it would come up at this meeting. It was already done. So all I had to do was, you remember you asked me to send it to you, and I sent you 3. Yeah, that was approved already to be part of the agenda today. And so what I want to know is, I'm missing something. So, am I?
I think there's just been a misunderstanding,
Yeah.
honestly. I believe that is.
Madam
However,
Chair, if you look
yes.
at the minutes, page 2,
Okay.
it says Jerry Taylor provided a brief history of Africville and highlighted the importance of the inclusion of the Africville visioning process on future agendas for discussion. Moved by Renee, seconded by Daryl. Motion put and passed. I believe that's what you're talking about, Member Taylor?
Not quite, because after the meeting was over, Dorothy asked me to send in the motions that I had made. And so I emailed it to her, and it was 3 different motions. And I assumed they would be coming up today, but it's no worry. That's all right. Hey, I can wait. I just wanted to know what the procedure is so I can follow it. That's all. I'm not saying anybody did anything they shouldn't have done. What I mean is kind of like, okay, oh, sorry, Ms. Jones. Yes, it's correct. What you said? Yeah,
Yes,
it's
that's
correct.
correct. I took it to agenda review, and then they were planning on bringing it to future meetings.
Okay, and they didn't want to bring it to this one. Okay, fine. Got it. All right. All right.
Okay. I hear your tone.
Madam
I don't mind
Chair.
being cross-checked like a hockey player. That's all right.
Madam Chair, if I could just step in really
Yes.
quick. Dorothy and I have
Yes.
discussed this too. So there's, and we can work with you at future agenda meetings as well, to help sort of understand, but members can bring forward, like we always, reach out to the members to ask if they have agenda items. Of course, agenda review, we set the agenda and depending on how much is there, but I think from a go forward, we can do better around the communication with the members on those items, where we are. And it's, again, you're in your 3rd meeting, it's all learning for everybody. So we're here to sort of guide everybody through, and we'll make sure that, if something can't be discussed at a particular meeting or it's being discussed at a future meeting, we'll make sure to communicate that and provide the why. And then but that being said, members still have the ability to test the committee at a second, in the live meeting by asking that it be added to the agenda as well. And if you have the agreement of the committee through consensus, then that item will be added at that meeting. So it is really, the chair and the vice chair with staff set the agenda. And, there always are the options through approval of the order of business to make changes.
I'm not trying to interfere with their job. They're doing great. What I mean is, so I'll ask for clarification on this. I'll do it this way. Okay, when I send what I just said and the motions to Dorothy, let's say tomorrow, what happens to it for my benefit so I can know? So okay, I'm going to send this to Dorothy, what I was just talking about, and the motions. And so what should we expect? What would the committee think is going to happen there? Like, what, So you know what I mean? Am I confused? Or
Yeah, so are
what?
you looking, what you're asking is that the motions that you send to us, you're asking to be put on at the next meeting's agendas for February so that the committee can then discuss it
Yes.
and consider it. So,
And,
so
and,
that
I, and, I'm- and was said that I should send that through email to Dorothy.
So any motions that you have proposal would come under committee members. We would put a motion underneath. It would have it all there. And the members would have that information in front of them so that they can then, you would need to put the motion still on the floor at the next meeting, but everything would be outlined on the agenda.
My slight problem with it is that agenda items are deleted that are supposed to be on the agenda. And I'm wondering why? If an agenda item is already there, it's a difficult issue. It hasn't been solved by the community yet, but this committee, I believe, could do it. So it's a difficult issue, but it's being pushed off the agenda. And I want to know why.
Can I ask which items have been removed from the agenda?
Okay, the first meeting I spoke, I think it's the second meeting that we had. I've been speaking about Affyville as the main, because our committee is set up to let HRM know if their policies hurt our community, what the impact of the policies of HRM on our community. And so I said, is there a statute of limitations on that? And the answer was no. So I said, let's deal with Affyville because it's a long-standing issue. So since I've come to I have many issues, but I decided that this is, from what I can see, the main issue for our people. It is. And so every meeting I've talked about Affyville, but it's never come up on the agenda. This is about our 5th or 6th meeting. So my question of clarification is, why is that? And what I seem to hear is that the chair people or the people who meet outside of us delete that off the agenda. And so when I come to the meeting, expecting to, have us all talk. By the way, I should mention, everybody that's on the committee should do some research and have a lot to say, not just a couple of people. Everybody should. And if you should be encouraged, and my talking shouldn't discourage anybody, I hope. And so the point I'm trying to make is, when I get confused, something is not right. So why is Affyville so difficult to put on the agenda after a committee member has been bringing it up every meeting? Why is it not a part of, one of my motions today was that HRM should make Affyville a part of their budget, their agenda. That should be one of their main agenda items, like people that's out there in Province Halls with tents. And they put electricity in with those people. So how come Affyville people are forgotten? By us and them. And so I'm noticing that it's the same kind of behavior here on this committee, that the Affyville seems like a non-issue. So if it's a non-issue, I shouldn't bring it up if I know this committee doesn't want to talk about it. So why don't people just say, no, we're not discussing Affyville, Jerry, bring up something, then I move on to something else because we have a lot of issues. But don't give me the impression that you're seriously considering it and then just block it off the meeting. And then when I come to the meeting, I'm talking through a tin can. It's like
Can I say something?
It's starting to upset me a little bit now.
Yeah. What I will say, Jerry, is that Affyville is a tough issue because it's so complex, right? And it happened it's not the most recent things. So to get the information that we need and to motion stuff and get stuff done is going to be even more difficult because we're going to have to dig for history. And then we're going to have to put that history in front of everybody and have people who are in decision-making abilities basically say, okay, we want to hear you. That's a little bit more difficult than something that's happening right now, right here. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair, and I'm aware of that. And what I've done in the motion, and also what I've been saying in the past as well, is that the staff, the wonderful, talented people that are here helping us, that are HRM staff, they can do that work. They can do the research. I'm sure they're willing. And they can get all the stuff you're talking about, which is legitimate, what you're saying. You're right. But I know that me talking is not going to solve Africa. That's a joke. So the thing is, if the city is encouraged to be including the staff,
Mhm.
that they would do the research. The archivist has all the information you need, and the archivist for HRM. And so the
Mhm.
city staff would talk to, I have that in the motion. The
Of
city
course,
staff,
yes. Yes,
yeah,
but
they
you
would
have to
talk.
remember that even to get information, even from, just for example, from the hospital, that's not a whole city. It's hard to get information, especially historical information, because there's a bunch of confidentiality, data stuff that you have to go through. It's not as easy as just pulling it out. There is processes, unfortunately, because I know for the hospital, even let's say I had a patient 2 years ago, there was an incident, and I had to
Yes.
pull up. It takes a long time. You have to go through a different checkpoints, so you do have to be patient in that. But it's definitely on our radar. That's what I will say,
Okay,
because it's definitely something that we've talked about. But it's not as, unfortunately, it's not as easy as like, ooh, let's go grab the file. It's like you got to go through security points, right? And it's just patience. I mean, this is our third meeting, as everyone has been saying. I hope it will get there and we can have more discussions on this and how we can make it get your goal heard, because I believe your goal is important. I do,
okay.
right?
I'll leave it at that then. Thank you.
No problem.
I can live with that. Yeah.
Perfect. So does anyone have any other questions or comments? Okay. So then can I get a mover to adjourn this meeting? Is that Daryl? Perfect. I guess meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
That's it. Dorothy, anything else I have to do?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
you're good. Thank you.
Perfect.
All good.
Everybody.
See y'all
Thank you.
later.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Take care,
Perfect.
everybody.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.